Okay. By the authority invested in me, I hereby declare this meeting of the Conshohocken Borough Council duly open and ready to conduct any business that come before it. Roll call.
Ms. Sokolowski?
Here.
Ms. Barton is absent. Ms. Flanagan?
Here.
Mr. Stokely?
Here.
Ms. Leonard?
Here.
Ms. Tutino?
Here.
Mr. Griffin?
Here.
Mr. Frost?
Prayer council.
O divine Master, in deep humility we place ourselves, our thoughts, our plans in thy hands. We beg thee to fill our minds and our wills with the gifts of wisdom, understanding, counsel, fortitude, knowledge, and piety. Help us not to think of self or personal desires, but rather consider the responsibilities laid upon us. Help us to promote as far as possible the welfare of our people and to treat them with impartiality and justice. Grant us the power to set a good example in thought, word, and deed, so thy blessings will be showered upon us and the people we represent. Amen.
President to the front, pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Fran, you got this, police commission?
Yes.
Please, what you call? Let's do that.
First item, Mr. President, there was an executive session held immediately prior to this meeting on potential litigation and personnel. The first item is presentations. Lieutenant George Metz is here to present Chief of Police commendations. Lieutenant Metz.
Thank you for the opportunity to present commendations of merit for Detective Chris McGuire and Detective William Walter. I'd also like to thank the Chief of Police. These are his commendations from him to them, but he gave me this opportunity because I supervise them. They're my guys, so he offered that to me, and I appreciate that. And keep in mind, in a moment I'll read this, but keep in mind, it doesn't tell the whole story. This job was a very good job, and you'll see that. But it doesn't tell the story of how hard they work. And I'm proud of them. And I want you and you to be proud of them too. Because they don't work for me, they work for us, all of us. And I hope you take that away. And I hope you're proud to hear the work that they did. Whereas in the early morning hours of May 19, 2016, Detectives Chris McGuire and William Walter of the Conshohocken Borough Police Department conducted a vehicle stop in the area of 201 West 6th Avenue. And whereas the occupants of the vehicle were individuals that Detective McGuire and Walter had developed as suspects in crimes that had been committed in the Borough of Conshohocken and the City of Philadelphia, and were under surveillance by the detectives for that reason. And whereas Detectives McGuire and Walter discovered evidence including the possession of 3 loaded handguns and the individuals in the vehicle, and Detective McGuire and Walter conducted an exhaustive follow-up investigation, which included interviewing multiple people, obtaining and executing several search warrants, and analysis of electronic evidence. And whereas Detectives McGuire and Walter were directly responsible for removing dangerous prolific criminals and illegal guns from the street and solving multiple crimes, which included thefts, burglaries, arson, weapons offenses in the Borough of Conshohocken, the Borough of Norristown, Plymouth Township, and the City of Philadelphia. Now, therefore, be it conferred that the Borough of Conshohocken Police Department, through its Chief of Police, wishes to recognize and commend Conshohocken Police Detective Chris McGuire and Conshohocken Police Detective William Walter for outstanding service, dedication, persistence, and intelligent police work. Thank you.
Congratulations, thank you. Congratulations, thank you.
the mirror. Yeah. Hey, take one with the mirror. Okay, wait, go on with your consent agenda.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, Mr. President, is the consent agenda. There are items A through G. Those items are to approve and adopt the Borough.
Hey, hold up. Okay, go ahead, Rick.
Those items are to approve and adopt the Borough Council August 17 regular meeting and August 31 special meeting minutes, accept the August ending Treasurer's Report, approve and adopt Resolution 2016-12 authorizing the filing of the Borough's 2016 CDBG application, approve and adopt the Borough's 2017 minimum municipal obligation as required by Act 205, grant St. Matthew Parish parking request to close 3rd Avenue from Fayette to Harry Streets during Sunday Masses, ratify and affirm the September 17, 2016 Fun Fest as an event of public significance where the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages has been specifically approved by the Borough, ratify and affirm the October 15, 2016 CPW, that is Conshohocken Plymouth Whitemarsh Rotary Beer Festival at the A Field as an event of public significance where the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages has been specifically approved by the Borough. And just to touch on a few of these that are not more routine than the others, but are routine nonetheless because you reviewed them and approved them, the minimum municipal obligation, as you know, is required to be done in September by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and that sets forth the obligations by this municipality to the pension funds for the police, fire, and non-uniform pensions. The affirmations for the September 17th and October 15th are consistent with your will and your desire to name those events, but more importantly, you passed an ordinance to make them specifically significant, and that just ratifies those actions. And the CDBG application, as you know, you had that before you and had a hearing, and that matter is on here for just the routine and final approval of your desire to approve that. And then finally, the St. Matthew Parish parking request to close 3rd Avenue from Fayette to Harry Streets was something you also discussed in executive session.
We discussed that.
Yes, you did.
Mike was okay with that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, do I need a motion for these?
Now, I do not believe that I received anything in writing from the chief, so if you want to make it conditioned upon something in writing from the chief, you can. If you want to just say it's approved. Okay, there you go. You do not need it in writing. It's only if you wanted it.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept A through G as stands.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Amendment carried. Amendment carried.
Okay. Mr. Griffin, for unfinished business, we have considering awarding of bids for the 2016 infrastructure program, and I believe the results were in front of you, but if Mr. Hughes, if you would please approach the podium to review this for the council and the public.
Thank you. We received only one bid on the 2016 infrastructure program. That bid was from Nick Abenizio Contractors in the amount of $1,521,070, with an alternate bid price of $71,762 rather. In taking a look at the bid prices, it appeared that a lot of the unit prices included in that bid were a little bit higher than we're used to seeing, and obviously we only had one bid, so we didn't get a whole lot of competition. I took it upon myself to call as many bidders as possible to try to get an idea of what would be more advantageous. What I found out was, actually I had 6 bidders that gave me some information. 3 bidders simply said that they did not have the time to submit a bid. They were too busy. 1 bidder, who actually is in the next project, going to be up for an award for the Sutcliffe Park project, but they said for this type of work, the infrastructure project, they wouldn't normally travel this far. They're from up in Reading. 1 bidder said they would have an issue with the borough's responsible contractor ordinance, and 1 bidder said that he just missed it, but he was really interested in bidding it. So I talked through with each of them about timing and the nature of the project, because it is a substantially storm sewer-based project, pipe work, which is typically good off-season work, if you will. And each of the 6 bidders agreed that they would be interested if they knew that the schedule would put them in a position to do this work over the winter, essentially January, February, March, in the pipe work, and then do all the concrete work and the restoration work in the spring when the weather broke. So after talking through with them, I'm recommending that we rebid the project during the month of November and have it set up that we open the bids and have it set up for an award potentially in December, so that they can hit the ground running and do the pipe work over the winter. And each of them did say they'd be interested in bidding if that were the new schedule.
Now, just logistically, when we address this and discuss this, we're talking about bidding in November of 2016, a 2017 project. So Mr. Hughes is in the process of going through the various capital projects that he's responsible for, the design that you're going to be seeing October 5. So obviously, we have a pretty good idea of where this is, but this would have to be just procedurally considered at your work session when I give you all the numbers on all your other projects, because it's technically a capital project for 2017. So if you decide on October 5 that, yes, this is how we want to do it, we want to bid it in November so that we can get them in January or February. In the past, we've talked about going out in January, February, or March, and he's finding that they're saying even that's too late. So just keep that in mind. If you reject this evening, that it'll be back in front of you October 5.
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go first.
Okay, sorry. Was this a 2016 capital project?
It was.
Yes.
Okay, so I have concerns that we are not staying on target with our projects. And I need to say that out loud, that we need to start really scheduling out our projects so that we can come in on time and on budget. We've had now 9 months, and we are not coming in on time with many of our projects this year. So I have concerns that we need to look at and address as we move forward.
And that is frankly one of the reasons that we've talked about reaching out to these contractors to find out definitively why are they not. I mean, last year, the same infrastructure program was bid, the numbers were off, and it was pushed off to 2016. So this is actually the second year that this hasn't happened with the same issue. So when Paul and I talked about this, let's find out, because we're hearing a lot of rumor as to why people aren't bidding it. And so let's, he suggested let's call and ask, and I thought it was a good idea. So
The responsible bid contractor? Is that what?
well,
it is?
there are some who claim that that's an issue, the
I-
responsible contractor, but I'm not going to blame that.
I think we need to have a discussion on that in itself. That was something that I'm not really clear on, and why we did it.
For the Verizon building. That's mainly what we did.
Well, if you're asking about the responsible contractor ordinance in and of itself, that's been on the books in this borough for 10 years.
Okay.
It was adopted initially because when the borough is bidding projects and spending public money, the prevailing sentiment is you want to have some guarantee that the folks who are bidding on it are going to be well-trained and well-versed in their trade, and that you're not going to end up with, shoddy workmanship or problematic construction and things that are going to end up haunting you later from a maintenance perspective. So what the responsible contractor ordinance does is basically require anybody that's going to bid meet certain minimum threshold requirements for not just that they're good contractors, that they haven't been, thrown off of jobs or debarred or prohibited from working in other jurisdictions, but also that they have their workers participate in training programs and things like that, so that they are they're, more than just seasonal labor that's hired to come in and work on a particular contract. We did, and Bob just referenced, we did make some adjustments to the ordinance a couple of years ago before this building went out to bid. The original threshold that was set under the ordinance was that it would apply to any contract that was in excess of, I think it was $25,000 at that time. And
I think it was 10 at first, wasn't it?
It was 100 here.
it was 100
For a
okay,
while.
So it was 100 here. So anything over 100,000, you'd have to run through these requirements of pre-qualification, and the process part was kind of onerous. I mean, it took a full 45 days from the time the council would open the bid and issue a notice of intent to award the contract before they could meet the certification and get through the public comment periods, and it added an extra layer of delay to any public project. So when we decided to update the ordinance, we increased the threshold so that it went from 100,000 to 350,000, which by and large exempted most of our paving jobs, I think was the reason why I chose that number. We also sharply reduced the amount of time it would take to qualify and to sign a contract. We now require that the bidders submit their certification forms with their bid, so that information is all done. We don't have to wait for a month after for them to turn the paperwork in. The turnaround time, I think, has been reduced to maybe 2 weeks, 10 days, so that we can get from the time council awards a notice of intent to the time that the borough can sign a contract has been cut by 2/3. So we've made it a lot more user-friendly, but the basic nuts and bolts of why you did it and the requirements that the contractors have to meet really haven't changed since it was first adopted in 2006.
There was one other section that was changed, and that was the requirement of an apprenticeship.
No, that's always been part of it.
When I looked at the amendment, that was dated 8 of 2014, so I'd like to relook at that with you to understand that.
The requirement has always been there.
Okay.
What the section actually says is that the contractor has to demonstrate that they've participated in an approved, Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program that has graduated apprentices to journeyman status for not less than 3 of the last 5 years. That's always been a part of the ordinance. That's never changed.
So let's take a look at the paragraph that I have questions
Okay.
after this. Thanks.
Go ahead, another question, Paul. Where did your estimate come in at, your estimate that
Well,
where we should be for that bid?
The estimate is reflective of the budget, which was $1 million.
So
So-
where's he at?
1.5.
$1,500,000?
1.5, yeah. So when I went through his bid prices, I kind of listed them in the memo here, a handful of items that were in the neighborhood of double what we're used to seeing for those items. So I think getting competitive bids will get that price down. Now, we're going to look at that budget number to make sure that we can have a viable project the next time it comes in, and that would be in the 2017 budget. And then, of course, the further we can get it down, hopefully we can save some of what that budget's going to be.
Right, okay.
And then to address the scheduling, one of the things that I'll be doing is putting together a schedule for all our capital projects. And they'll kind of all be listed together so we can see where they'll be slotted in time of year, where it makes the most sense to do them. And one of the reasons I'm here is because I like the idea of being able to have more control over scheduling and making sure that things get done on time, because I'm also very, very disappointed in how the last couple of years have gone.
That's perfect. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for the bigger picture so we
Yeah.
can see where we can fit other things in.
Excellent.
Next item is the Sutcliffe.
Does there need to be a rejection action?
Yes.
There does. The next is the Sutcliffe Park stormwater improvement. So the first piece of this is, do you accept the recommendation to reject the 2016 infrastructure program bid?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Motion and second.
my motion is second.
Motion is there a second? You want to call?
Did I make the motion? Yeah.
I got a motion and a second to reject the infrastructure program. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the second project is the Monco 2040 Comprehensive Plan Implementation Grant, which is the Sutcliffe Park parking lot retrofit. On this project, we did get 6 bids. The low bidder is Flyway Excavating for a base bid amount of $198,615. Alternate bid number 1, $23,940. Alternate bid number 2, $24,300, and alternate bid number 3, $6,400, which I'll explain what all those different alternates are. Long story short is I'm recommending that the base bid and alternate bid number 1 be awarded, and what that is basically the parking lot work to take out the existing asphalt surface that's there and put in a pervious paver surface, a couple of islands, landscaped islands, and then there's also a rain garden component, which is actually one of the big selling points for being awarded the grant in the first place from the county. I'm not recommending awarding alternate 2 and alternate 3. What alternate 2 and 3 were, 2 was a pathway going down to the basketball courts. That the price is outrageous, frankly, and we can have it done if we wanted to put a path in to the basketball courts for much, much less. And then the last one, again, is $6,400. That was for 2 trash cans. So I think we can agree that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to award that. So, and then to recap, the funding, this project does have $120,000 in grant funding from the Montco 2040 grant program. So that comes out to $102,555 in borough general funds to cover the balance of the project.
Paul, what's your time frame on this one?
This one, I would like to, if awarded, have the contract signed immediately and start immediately. So basically, I'm hoping that by mid-October we're in there. That project really shouldn't be more than about a month. So what I've been saying to the grant folks and to Chris Stetler is that I want to have this thing done by Thanksgiving.
And do we have the money
Are
for that,
there
Rich?
leagues going on during this fall timeframe?
We
That
got-
parking would be an issue?
It's just the fall ball, and that's over quick. That's
Okay.
not, that doesn't take long. Do we have the money for this? In
Yes.
budget? I'd like to make the motion.
Well, let's be clear, you approved the project, which means the money gets transferred to fund it.
Yes.
Yes.
But we do have the money,
And you got a grant with this.
Correct.
and it's coming out of the park, and,
Well, it's not coming out of impact fees, no,
okay, why?
because that money's gone.
Okay,
The money was used for the Ayfield project,
all of it?
all of it.
And what do we have coming in?
Now, it depends on what comes in permits next year. We have a lot scheduled to come in, but until we actually pull the permits in the process, it's not there.
So we have to take it out of we have to take it out of
Either
it.
it comes out of capital, or we could transfer it from another capital project that was not completed. But when you approve this, you approve the dollars for it.
And how long is the grant good, how long is the grant good for?
The grant's good, I think, for either 2 or maybe even 3 years. I think it might be 2018, sometime in 2018, the grant funding needs to be spent by. I believe it's end of June 2018. So it's quite a long period of time.
My opinion, I think we should put it on hold till we get the money and the impact. I mean, we have a lot of projects.
If you look at what you've set as your goals for 2017, I think the money that's going to be hopefully coming into the impact fees, you're going to have a lot of park projects to fund. I think if you want to spend this now, we've committed to the county to do this. We really can't.
I'm just looking to,
Money.
Well, there is money in unfunded dollars spent on capital projects, and there's also money in our capital fund, which either or. The only reason I'm not giving you a definitive answer tonight is because there's still some outstanding things that, you've asked us to re-engineer Hector Street. What if you decide that there's something that can be done on Hector Street that you want to do? Or, there's other things. So the bottom line is there is cash that we can have available since you've authorized the expenditure of this amount of money, but which, for lack of a better term, in simpler terms, which account it's going to come from is the question.
There's another important component here, too. This is a rolling grant. There's going to be more funding opportunities, and if we've executed this grant successfully, we'll have a better chance of getting our next application. And with all the parks projects coming up, there'll definitely be opportunities for things that we're doing that we already are going to have on the books to put in more applications. You can actually have multiple applications in at one time. You can even get more than one grant in 1 year. So this is a good opportunity to kind of knock one out and then essentially be on the county's good list.
And you're confident that we could, this money is there? And
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll stick with my motion. I'll make the motion to
Okay.
approve.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
And then the final item is the Ayfield wall.
Not much to report on this. We did not receive any bids.
Could you please talk about that? Because we talked about why that may be also.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably similar to some of the responses we got on the infrastructure projects. Contractors are too busy. I did also hear that because the nature of the project is such that general contractor needs to solicit pricing from precasters, and a couple of the bidders told me that they had trouble getting pricing in time. Frankly, I need to do a little bit more homework on this before I'll have a strong recommendation on what to do next. I have a lot more phone calls to make to figure out what's the best direction to go here. I only have feedback from 2 bidders so far.
Without getting into the name of the company that you were communicating with this whole time, would you let council know how those conversations went as to why they did not either supply the material or bid or give a contractor to bid?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues here is we worked with a particular precaster in terms of actually getting the design together, so we used some of their construction details. And one of the general contractors is the one who told me that precaster failed to supply the pricing. So that's the main information I need to be able to dig into is why, after helping us design the project, they didn't supply pricing for their own design. So there's some things that just don't quite add up here.
Makes sense.
And it's only been 5 days or so since we opened the bid. So I'm going to dig in a little bit more, and maybe for the work session, I'll have some better information to give us a good direction on where to go with this thing.
I took a ride down there Sunday morning. It's getting ugly down there. The walls are getting, it's pretty
a
beat up
problem.
down there.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we did anything down there.
That's it, Mr. President.
That's all I got.
You want to dig, yeah, okay. You're going to dig into that more, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Carry on, Rich.
Next item on the agenda, as you know, the Marywood Park Commission has 2 vacancies. The president of council serves by ordinance, and there are 2 additionals. There have been 3 members of council who have indicated an interest to serve on the Marywood Park Commission. Ms. Barton made me aware yesterday that she would offer her name as well, but at this moment in time, we have Ms. Leonard, Ms. Flanagan, and Ms. Barton, and there are 2 spots on the commission. So what is council's pleasure? I know that there are a few people, Mr. Collins not being the least of which, who has been waiting for this to happen because there's a number of issues that have to get addressed.
Joe, you want to say something about that?
Oh, he's here.
Joe,
Hi, Joe.
you want to say something about it? The members? Do you want to say something about your members? You need to, what you got?
You want to pick 2, Joe?
You want to pick there or what?
Howard.
Over the last couple of years, 2 of the members passed away, Mr. McTamney and Pearl Duckett, and through the borough's, a lot of new personnel came on board here. You got a new home and all that. So things have survived over there, but I certainly feel alone, and we do need a couple more people on the board to help out and be members on there and get some, we need some funds. The Marywood has worked on money that Marywood left with the park in 1918. She left $100,000, and her cousin or sister, not her sister, but somebody left another 25, and over the 80 years or whatever it's been, it's survived and done well, and that 100,000 is probably 300,000 now, and we only work off of the interest. But anybody that has money in a bank or investments knows you can't survive the way it is. And standing out here, I can't twist anybody's arm like somebody up there behind the table. So looking for some help, and somebody take over the reins pretty soon too, I think. So hopefully we get folks, 2 people interested enough that we can have a couple meetings and go through it. And I think the first thing, whoever comes on, we meet over there and we get a walk around and a discussion. So I'll leave it up to you, Rich.
You got 2 people, right?
We got 3. Do we put them in a hat?
Oh, what you got?
That's how the town got named. Put the names in a hat.
Do you know,
It's up to you guys.
It's up to you
do you
guys.
know if Anita just put her name in to try and help out? I mean, she's already on the,
That's what I'm saying. You got Nita on a lot of boards already. Yeah, with
yeah.
So we got two new members.
My recommendation is Colleen and Jane, because we're on the east side.
That's fine.
That's fine.
And it's my ward, and I unfortunately.
I'm okay with that.
am taxed. So
And
I
I'm not
told
on
Colleen
anything
about
yet
it.
anyway, so
That's
I
right,
maybe
yeah.
have a little more time.
And I would be happy to do it, because I walk up your street all the other time.
Does this decision have to be made tonight?
Well, it doesn't have to, but Mr. Collins has been patient for the last several months. He's been asking, and you've been mulling what you wanted to do, so I think it's appropriate to act this evening.
Okay, I'm just thinking because Anita isn't here.
She'd be welcome to, she'd be welcome to be with us. Anybody is, It's
Just
a matter,
as
right
now.
now, we pay the bills. There's electric and there's phone and water and gas and, that's all we've been getting done. And I haven't really, Ike is the only other board member exists other than me. So
Well, there's a motion.
we do need,
for
the
two
weather's
people.
changing quick and there might be a couple of things we need to get considered and see if we can free up. I would think come January, you'll probably be reappointing anybody or new appointments or reappointing those that are on there. I don't, when's,
It is.
So it has a term.
Do we gotta take a
2
vote on
years.
this?
Two-year term.
Do we have a motion?
Do we have a
There's a
motion?
motion by Ms. Sokolowski for
I'll
Ms.
second it.
Flanagan and Ms. Leonard.
I'll second that.
I got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye.
so
It's
gonna be Jane and Colleen?
Aye.
and Anita she can.
Right, what Joe's saying is Anita's welcome also,
I know,
because,
it's an unofficial,
right.
And so are you, and so.
Well, they need citizens also, so that,
then
it's
then.
Well,
that open to the
I can tell you
audience.
that the council also has,
Later.
the council is supposed to appoint one, a non-member or whatever, a citizen. And the trustees are supposed to appoint somebody.
Okay.
So,
I know that there are several citizens that I've been talking to or that are interested in getting involved, so we can potentially put that out there for.
I mean, Anita, there's no, you can't say that because somebody is on council that they can't be on there as the citizen.
Yeah, they can't do that because then you have a quorum.
That's what we need.
We can't, I think it'd be good to have a younger family member also, to have
All
someone
right.
with young children on the board, like a diverse, yeah, so it's not just.
We'll give Anita the next job that comes up.
How will we go about, work through Rich for a meeting and we'll meet over the Mary Wood someday?
Sure, that would be great.
I would love a tour of the facility.
All right, let's do it. Let's set something up that any and all council members can come over on that day.
That would be great.
And you know the availability of the council people better than I do, and
No, we don't.
any day at 4 o'clock on, I'm good, and Thursdays and Fridays, I'm off too.
You gonna have some cold ones over there?
Over the hill. So I'll talk with you, Rich.
Okay,
All
the
right,
motion
thank you,
carried.
Joe.
Nita and Mary. Motion carried.
Jane and Colleen, yes.
Jane and Colleen.
Jane and Colleen, yeah.
Did I get it wrong? I'm sorry,
Yes, it's
Jane and
right.
Colleen. Okay, motion carried. I'm sorry.
And Karen, if Anita is too adamant about it, I'll work it out with her.
Oh, I'll work out with it.
She'll be fine.
She'll be okay with it.
She's got enough
She'll
to
be
do.
okay with it.
Yeah, I don't know either way, I just.
No,
Yeah,
she'll be
I
okay
get
with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Rich, carried on.
New business, I have no business.
Ooh,
I
new
do.
bit. Bob?
First, we want to do the speed bump. We want to talk about the speed bump that we purchased, and
Mr. Hughes, if you would, please.
you're going to put it up right
Do you
now.
want to distribute that? We'll put it up for
Yeah,
the
Brittany's
audience.
going
but
to
do you
put it
wanna
up on the
distribute
board, and
that?
I can,
Brittany, if you would, please.
other people in the audience want to look at this.
Bob, we're going to put it on the board
Yeah, they
for
can put it
everyone
on the
else.
board, yeah.
But for the council, you can, if you want to distribute
Yeah.
what you have. It's up to you. I live in color.
This is the speed speed bump that we purchased, and we're proposing to put it on Maple Street. Do you want to, Mike? Okay. We postponed it right now, we put it on hold, because some of the residents have a concern about it. And Paul, you can continue.
Sure. I'm not going to speak for the traffic engineer, who is obviously not here, but I will give you my understanding of how we got here and what the device is designed to do. Obviously, there are concerns about the intersection of 12th and Maple and the speed of vehicles, and the fact that it's one way and a left turn only puts people in a position where the stop signs are clearly optional in their minds. I understand that the idea in sort of the genesis of this was that some kind of control would be put down closer to the corner near the stop sign. The idea with a speed table is more that it be in an area where vehicles are supposed to be moving, which of course would not be near a stop sign. Now, there are regulations for where this should be placed, and that is 150 feet ahead of a stop sign. So the spot that was picked out to place the speed table on Maple Street was, it actually couldn't quite even be that far back, but it was kind of pulled back as far as practical without interfering with the driveway or alley kind of in the middle of the block there. So the full setup of this, as shown here, but not completely, is the speed table, a series of line striping, which is another visual cue to a driver that something's coming up and you should be slowing down. There would be a sign right next to the speed table, as well as another sign 100 feet in advance saying, speed table, big, typical yellow warning sign. And it's the combination of the change in elevation and all the visual cues that is designed to slow drivers down. Moving it anywhere from where it's been proposed in the middle of the block, it sort of negates the effectiveness. Also, kind of what I've been saying whenever this comes up is that putting it down near the stop sign is a little silly, because the speed limit as the stop sign is 0 miles an hour. So that's a whole different issue. But that's kind of the long and short of what it is and where it's designed to go. And I guess at this point we're trying to find out if it should be installed. And
Mr. Gephardt, would you like to chime in on this?
Sure. If we go back to the beginning, I'm the one who requested.
But George said your name and your address. And
George Gephardt, 131 West 12th Avenue. The issue was not to slow down traffic, if we all remember my presentation. It was the fact that we had a number of cars going through the stop sign, through the intersection, and down into Plymouth Gardens Apartments, okay? So it's not, it's as far as, perhaps, I used, and all along we've been using the speed hump or speed bump connotation, but actually the reason for it being at the stop sign is that, it's not that the traffic is coming down 50, 60 miles an hour. We have rolling stops going down 12th Avenue like we do at every stop sign in Conshohocken. The issue is, and Rich was good enough to, and Bob was good enough to come down and look at the situation. At the bottom of the hill with cars, as you know, traffic and, the parking situation in Cunchy, with the cars parked on both sides, standing at the bottom of the hill with a car coming down, you can't see the car can't see you. My issue is with, I have four grandchildren living on the corner of 12th and Maple. Across the street, there's a grandchild. The woman 2 doors up has a 2-year-old, and she's pregnant and ready to give birth to another. So there are children in the area. And at that intersection, I know when my grandchildren or any other children want to cross the street and go down 12th Avenue, if one of these goofballs comes down the street and goes through, and my issue was, I've seen them go through the stop sign time and again without even hitting their brakes. Now, I know they're supposed to be stopping at the stop sign, but if they were stopping at the stop sign, I would have never even come down. But the issue is people going through not at a high rate of speed, but they're going through maybe 25, 30 miles an hour, which is not, so you don't need a speed bump to slow them down. It's the fact that they're going through the intersection 30 miles an hour without even touching their brakes. And if one of my grandchildren, if I walk out, I mean, I'm not, I realize I'm only 5'7", but like I said before, I get out there on the street where the cars are. I can't see the cars coming down. They can't see me. And it's perhaps I know PennDOT, with their regulations and everything, I understand all that. But this is not a speed hump or speed bump situation. This, what my request was and still is that somehow we can stop these people from ignoring the stop signs and going right through the intersection and down into the apartment complex. And the truth of the matter, these people, they know the stop signs are there. They just don't give a damn. They don't care. They know the stop signs are there. They just, I actually had one young man a couple weeks ago going up the one-way street, and I looked at him, and he went like this to me. He went, shh. I mean, he knew he was going up a one-way street. I mean, the issue is these people just don't care. And so that's my concern. And my idea is I don't want to see, now I know the materials have been purchased. I don't want to see the borough go to any unnecessary expense.
And George, how many residents down there do you have that are opposing it?
That are opposed to it?
Yeah.
All the residents would like to see what I have asked for is, something to make these people stop at the stop sign. The other residents in the area, they all agree that where PennDOT says that the speed hump has to be put will not do any good, because they'll go over the speed hump and they still have 100 feet to go right through the intersection. I mean, once they come over the speed hump and they have 100 feet to the stop sign,
We can pick up the speed again.
they're just going to go right through the intersection, and it's not going to solve the problem. And my issue was, I don't want to see the borough waste the money. I don't think, if PennDOT regulations say that this has to be put 150 feet away, I don't think it's going to do any good, and I hate to see the borough waste the money. And my thing is, okay, if it can't be done, and like I said, I appreciate all the effort that's been put into this. If it can't be done, then let's go back to the drawing board. Maybe something else can be done. I think I suggested at the first meeting that we contact the apartment complex. That's a private road. They have speed bumps throughout the complex down there. It's a private road. If they would put a speed bump at the top of the hill, would help somewhat. I know they're not going to police their residents. I understand that, but my issue right now is, all right, if we can't. Truthfully, in my mind, when I came down here the first time, I was thinking something on the line of the speed bumps we have down at Sutcliffe Park. Is everybody familiar with those speed bumps that they put in, during the season? The speed bump that, which is about this wide. And my idea was to put the speed bump right across, right on the stop line, to force the people to stop and not go through the intersection. I mean, this to me, now, if it can't be done, it can't be done. I'm okay with that. I mean, the effort's being made, and I appreciate it. And if PennDOT won't allow it, or if it can't be done that way, fine. But that is, in my mind, that's what I certainly wasn't expecting anything this elaborate. And this or anything else, like I said, 150 feet away from the stop sign is just not going to do what I hoped it would do. And like I said, the only purpose that I came here was to ask for some way of, making the people stop at the stop sign without going right through the intersection. Like I say, I know rolling stops are rolling stops all over the borough. I understand that. And the people going down 12th Avenue are not the issue. The issue is the people going through the intersection 30, 35 miles an hour without even touching their brakes. And I can actually stand out there and hear the engines coming down the hill, and I can tell which ones aren't going to stop. I mean, I've actually, on occasion, when I happen to be on the corner, I've actually stood behind the car, and when I hear the car coming, I'll step out a couple steps and make them stop. And, if that's the final solution, if I have to stand out there every night for an hour and a half to walk out in the middle of the street to save my grandchildren, I'll do it. But, like I say, I think from the very beginning we got into the speed hump situation with PennDOT or without PennDOT, and it's really not a speed bump situation. It's a totally different situation, and if we can't do anything about it, maybe we can do something else.
Paul, is that where PennDOT is telling you where they want it?
The traffic control or traffic calming manual states that it should be 150 feet back of any stop sign.
Okay.
So, and then it was.
But that's to slow traffic down. And I'm saying that's not the issue.
Can I jump
That's
in?
not the issue.
So, first things first, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Solicitor, but stop sign enforcement is an enforcement issue.
Yes.
So, I'll just put that out there.
What was that again, Mike?
The stop sign, Paul's point, I think, is that you don't need to construct some barrier or hump or bump or speed table to enforce a stop sign. I mean, it's a matter of enforcement. The mayor could talk to the chief about
That's what I
putting
was
a
thinking about, talking to the chief.
Could we look at a
enforcement.
detail
Yeah.
that could be on a schedule to at least start?
Is there a particular time of day? Is it when people are coming home from work?
Yeah.
Well, I use normal times, like I would say, between 5 o'clock and 6 or 5 to 6:30, and then of course, coming out of the complex is not the issue.
Right.
Like in the
And
morning.
that's actually my next point, and we had talked about this briefly, if there's a possibility of having the apartment complex make that an exit only, so there would be do not enter signs there, so that coming in to the apartment complex from Conshohocken would no longer be an option. Obviously, that would require some intermunicipal discussion, but
Well,
throw it out there.
Plymouth Township wasn't interested in sharing in the cost of the speed hump. We didn't pursue talking with the apartment complex because putting a speed hump at the top of their exit doesn't do anything to keep people from complying with the stop sign as they turn left. So if they would do something where you couldn't come out that way, that doesn't resolve the issue we're talking about, which is vehicles coming down and making that left without stopping. So I guess all I'm saying is, I think it's more appropriate for the police department to, if they haven't, or to, as Ms. Sokolowski said, do a detail or do something. But again, that's an enforcement issue for the police department more so than
Have a
anything.
car sitting there, I mean, what's going?
But there is a
And-
problem, Rich, George, correct me if I'm right, the people do go through the stop sign and down that road into the apartments, correct?
Oh,
The people that live there. So there is a problem with them going across the intersection
That's the big problem.
of 12th down into the apartments. See, you saw it, Maple, the road leads right into the apartments. So they go right through the stop sign and right down the hill into the apartments, down to their apartments. And that's what George is trying to, he just said, Paul said if you put a do not enter sign on each side and they can't enter there anymore, that'll stop them.
You'd have to talk to, I think that's the
Township.
point. It's
Yeah,
a
the Plymouth-
coordination, it's a
Plymouth,
coordination
yeah,
where if you're gonna
yeah.
reroute traffic and
Right,
change the
right.
direction on streets or
And
turn
that's a very
streets to
narrow,
one way.
that's a very narrow street anyway.
Right.
That
That's
road's
something
going
that
down to the apartments.
I think the borough would need to talk to Plymouth Township about.
We are more than happy to reboot those discussions. We stopped when this was the solution.
Right.
So if we want to reboot that, we will. And by the way, you'll have the draft policy that we talked about for, putting these in other locations for your first review
Well,
on
I
the
think
5th.
if we don't do it here, we can put it somewhere else. I think
That's why I
there's
mentioned
plenty
the
of
policy
places
is
in the
you'll have
borough
your
that we
first-
can do that, so I don't think we wasted the money.
No.
Correct.
So,
Springville Avenue, Hector
I think
Street.
it's Sixth Avenue as well.
Yeah,
but
Sixth
is
Avenue's
now
getting a lot of
yeah,
traffic.
Back into
Mhm.
Home Depot area.
Mhm.
And between Wood and
Got
Colwell,
two.
there's a
Oh,
long
Jay.
stretch. Especially with those new buildings that they just put in the back.
The, one other thing that I don't know how much it would help, but it would involve contacting the apartment complex. If you go down Wood Street into Cardinal View, okay? That Wood Street is a public street, not like the apartment complex streets. Down where the apartment complex swimming pool is, there is a parking lot which, if they opened up the parking lot approximately from here to where Ike is sitting, they could have another exit out of that complex. I mean, we're talking 15, 20 feet.
And that is Plymouth Township side?
yeah.
Well, that's.
Have you had
no,
any conversations?
No, it would be the apartment complex.
But that's Plymouth
But
Township.
it's Plymouth Township.
Yes, but
Have-
but it's all private.
Yeah.
It's the apartment complex.
Have you had any
When they
conversations?
And it would, yes, it would come into a Plymouth Township street.
But I think when they developed Cardinal View, that was an option, but they wouldn't let them put the exit out of the apartments onto that road.
But Conshohocken did.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
And then, now one other option, which is, I know this is extravagant, but let me throw it out there. Make Maple Street one way going the other way.
That's what I thought.
Right now, Maple Street is one way going down.
Yep.
Make it one way going up. Make 12th Avenue, I know you'd have to reverse 12th, 11th, and 10th. But if Maple Street is one way for one block. From 11th to 12th Avenue, Maple Street is one way. The whole entire rest of Maple Street is two way, okay? Now, I think it was done when the apartment complex was put in, okay? So now, if we reverse 10th, 11th, and 12th Avenue and make 12th Avenue coming up and make Maple Street one way going up, that would solve all my problems. Because the people coming up out of the complex don't endanger my grandchildren. It's the people going down the hill into the complex. So if there's any simple way, which I use, I'm sure it's not simple, just to turn the one-ways around.
George, what we can do, we can let Paul take a look at that. Now, he works for the borough. That's why we hired him, to have more time to look at
Right.
these problems. So let him
Right.
look at it and see what we can,
Yeah.
and maybe we can talk to the manager at the Plymouth, not the Plymouth Gardens, the apartments, and maybe we can.
See, well, what I'm saying is right now, from Maple Street down to Caldwell, 10th Avenue is one way going down, 11th Avenue is one way coming up, 12th Avenue is one way coming down. Just reverse them, make Maple Street one way coming up, my problems are solved.
11th one way till you hit your Maple Street.
Yeah, well, I
and then
say
it
from
becomes
Maple Street to
two-way, yeah,
Caldwell.
yeah.
When you have to get the traffic engineer
Yeah.
to talk in it.
Yeah, so, if we could make 10th Avenue one way coming up, 11th Avenue one way going down, and 12th Avenue one way, just reverse all the one ways, my problems are solved.
Well,
So
let's-
just turn the signs around.
Yeah, let Paul, not as easy. Let Paul take a look at it, and then, right now, the speed bump's on hold.
Right.
So let us take a look
Okay.
at it, and we'll revisit it
Right.
real soon.
Mr. Stokely,
Traffic engineer.
I was just going to say, just to be clear, it won't be Mr.
When
Won't be
is- when
Mr.
is the-
Hughes, it'll
when
be
is
the traffic
Where's
engineer.
time?
What's that?
When the traffic bad going
Okay.
down there?
Huh?
What time is traffic bad going down there?
Oh, I'd say, like I say, from, probably between 4:30 and 6 o'clock, probably.
And what
I'll
street,
I'll talk to Mike. to
And what
see if he
street
have
do you
a
want us to
cop
put your
down there
name
a
on?
couple of times.
Huh?
what street do you want us to put your
I
name
want
on?
my name left off.
No, you said between 4:36. I tried to get Mike down there to
And-
put a
and-
cop
Matter
down
of
there
fact,
a couple of days.
As soon as it gets done, I'm thinking about moving out. So.
You'll be here till for.
Just to be clear, just for action items, from perspective, just to be clear about the action items that were taken from this. Obviously, speaking to the police chief, but, Mr. Hughes will be involved, but it'll be the traffic engineer who's responsible for it, and I will reach out to Plymouth Township as well. And if you'd like, I can contact, after speaking with Plymouth Township, I can contact the apartment complex. It's up to you.
I think we need to do that, at least
I
talk
do
to
too.
You do that in the meantime, I'm gonna talk to the chief and see if he can send a cop down there every so often for a while. If they start getting an object that the cop's sitting there every once in a while, probably throw them
And a few
down.
people
But
get
Mike,
attended.
getting back to what,
And ticket a
Mike,
couple of them.
getting back to what you said earlier about this 15 feet that, before the stop sign, that we gotta start enforcing that?
Well, stop signs are just that. I mean, traffic is required to stop at a stop sign. If somebody runs a stop sign, it's a violation of the Borough Vehicle Code. And we don't need to change anything or do anything to
No,
enforce
I'm
that.
talking about parking in front of a stop sign. 15 feet, the law says, when we send along a 16-year-old kid to get a book, and he studies the book, he reads in the book, 15 feet away from a stop sign. That's not enforced in Conshohocken. So we're defeating the purpose of these kids when they go read that book and take their test about the 15 feet parking in front of from a stop sign. All our every stop sign in this town, there's a car, I could bet 99% is parked right on top of a stop sign. So that's something we have to look at also. I know parking's tough in this town, but we need to enforce that because you can't see. If people are right on top of a stop sign, it's against the law.
You can look at that too, Paul, okay?
I mean, I don't
You're a
want to,
traffic engineer. We'll probably need about 415 feet signs from the stop sign, because most of the corners are like that, down Hecker Street, Back Street.
and also the trees are in front of the stop signs. There's a lot of trees hanging in front of stop signs.
Well,
We're gonna be,
That's the
we're gonna be working on
residents'
that.
fault. They put to cut that.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be working aggressively on things like getting trees cut in front of stop signs, getting sidewalks cleared and things like that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Didn't we used to paint lines where you couldn't park for stop signs?
The curbs.
That's right, some towns just keep
That would be a
them.
Mr. Butte question.
The lines for the stop signs and the curbs. We used to paint the curbs years back.
We do paint the curves someplace.
We have painted curbs that have been authorized by council to paint curbs. We painted them yellow, and we have a few that are red. Red being a tow-away, yellow being just no parking
Violation.
and certainly ticketable. But we've only painted those locations that have been authorized by council, and most of those are down
Yeah.
right around Hector Street.
Street. So the cops can make for the cars can make the
Maybe we
turn.
could
Trucks.
paint,
Right.
maybe we could paint that curb
Huh?
also? Maybe we could paint George's curb where it needs to
So
be,
people would park behind
so
where it's
people,
painted.
which would also,
Can we look at that also?
That might be a solution.
Well,
it might be a
If they-
help at least
Right.
if they can't park
If people
there.
can't park at the corner 15 feet.
Yeah, it might be a solution. But you go there, you go there after 12 o'clock, they on the corner anyway.
I believe it's 30, not 15.
Isn't it 30 to a fire plug?
It's 15 and 15 from a fire plug, making
Each
it a
side.
total of 30.
Oh,
Listen, don't quote me, but I think.
I don't quote me either, because I thought it was 15 and
The traffic light,
30,
I think
but
it's-
you might be right.
Well, we
It's been a
can
long
look
time
at
since I read that book.
So over the
Paul, you
past
better put all
several
this stuff
months,
on your book.
we've had various different questions about the police and enforcement, and we don't necessarily have that representation here.
yeah, they left.
So, Mr. Mayor, have you had any meetings with the police chief to talk about any of the concerns or anything that have been brought up over the past several months?
No.
I would put a recommendation out to council that we relook at starting those meetings up under the guidance of the mayor to look at bringing issues to the police chief that he can help us problem solve, because he is the governance body of those types of
Right.
laws, and
Correct.
we're speculating.
And I
Right.
think at the regular working meetings, they have been putting forth an effort to be here tonight.
But back in time, the last chief, and Mike also was at the beginning, he sat up here with us, and Chief Doherty, when he was in council all the time, dressed in his uniform most of the time, and he would be asked questions about things in the town. I think we need to do that.
So on
I think
that,
you're absolutely right, Tina. I think we need to do that again.
On that note, with having the police chief here,
Doesn't have to be the chief, just a
Well,
representative
someone,
from,
but-
one of those traffic guys, one of the traffic
I
police.
know,
But I think that, from the perspective of governance and how things work for, the aspects of the politics of this and the government of this, I would say that the mayor has the governance over that, and I would say that that's something that I would like to see and be part of if that's the case.
Well, the public safety commissioner, in this case is Ike, is usually sort of the go-between with a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
And it's kind of tilted that way over the years. I mean, like, just what we're talking about. He's already said, I'll go in and see the chief tomorrow. So while it probably is my jurisdiction, he's here tomorrow bright and early at 8 o'clock and I'm out working.
Okay.
So he kind of takes some of that away from me, whether that's the way it should be or not. But it's always kind of been, the public safety director is pretty much involved with as much of this as I am.
Okay.
Now, if you want to steer it a little more away from him and more towards me, I have no problem with that.
Well, ultimately, under the borough code, it's the mayor.
Sure. Kind of
The
the
council doesn't direct the police chief, the mayor directs the police chief. You guys have authority over budgeting and hiring, but ultimately, your requests should go through the mayor. If you want the police chief to put on a detail, he can actually issue the order to the chief to do those things. So
That's kind of where I was coming from after I
Yeah.
read that little yellow book.
it's
But
the
to give you
mayor.
an example, like I was saying, the month of August, I was not in the chief's office once. How many times would you say you were in there?
More? 4 or 5 times at least.
You're in there at least once, twice a week.
Every
Yeah,
time
so
somebody
what
tell me
happens
something.
here, he's bringing right to him.
And they're impromptu conversations. I think that we need to put some structure around it so that, they feel as part of us and we're part of them and we're working cohesively. That's my recommendation.
I second it. I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
To be clear, you're basically asking the mayor to engage the chief. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, that's what the borough code is.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Is
think
it a motion? Is it a
Bob
motion?
agrees
Well,
with
I'm
it.
not, no, it wouldn't be a motion.
Yeah,
You're asking.
You're saying motions in seconds, I just
No,
wanted.
no,
to
I
make
didn't
sure.
mean it that way, Mike. I
Not
didn't
in a
mean it that
formal
way.
sense. I think
I just said that as a, you know.
It's my recommendation.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the mayor's gonna go back to the chief, do you want him to direct the chief to attend the meetings, or council meetings, the workshop meetings?
A
too?
representative, at
He's here
least.
to discuss,
I-
or somebody
and
from the
I think-
department to be here?
I think that
At
is
least when there's
there,
issues that are important.
I think it's been Mike Connor that has been, coming to the work meetings.
Right.
If the chief can't make it, it's either him or Mike, and that so far has helped a lot. I mean, tonight is not a work meeting, and we just happen to be having all this conversation.
Right.
You know, and that's helped a lot also. So as long as they can, you know, the mayor can make sure that that is going to continue and then have conversations with them, that would,
So
I mean, it was
basically,
really helped when the
Yeah.
chief or the representative was in the room
Right.
during the meeting. If some of the residents had a question or the council people have a question, I mean, he would ask the question and the chief would answer. I mean, right, Bob?
I mean, it's
That's the
really-
way it ran for years, right? With the
Yep.
dock and all that, Chief
I-
Doherty.
so the request is of the mayor to request the chief or one of his
Require.
designees to attend.
Our meetings.
The council work
our
session
council
meetings.
Why did the chief stop in the first place?
Right.
Nobody asked that, right?
Yeah.
So
Why
we
did he
should ask
stop?
Why he stopped coming?
Why did he stop?
That's what I, that's what I,
It
want
was
to know.
before that. He stopped coming.
That'd be a reason why
I
he
can talk
stopped
about it
coming.
later.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to
Regardless.
get
I-
into
I-
why
I-
he
I-
stopped, but
Forward, yeah, let's
I
just
know,
go
we'll go forward, but I'm gonna, let's go.
My
There's a
point-
reason why he didn't come, he stopped coming.
My point is, I think we need more structure around involving the police in some of these discussions, and that they feel part of what it is we're doing, and we feel they're part of what we're doing in decision-making. As
Just like-
much of it is law enforcement.
Just like George the lieutenant said tonight, we should be proud, and they should be proud of us, we should be proud of them and work together. And I mean, that was a
They
great
do.
statement, that was a nice statement he made, you know?
Okay, Rich.
I have no other new business, I don't.
Well,
I have, yeah, we have a Jay, we have a contractor in the audience that has a problem, an issue that he'd like to speak about.
Jason Catania, 137 West 7th Ave. The only reason I'm here is I went to a zoning meeting last month thinking that I was going to be on this month's agenda and just prepared for this, that, and the other thing to put connecting garages in my backyard on First and Wood. Everything was approved for it, and we have settlement coming up. We already delayed and pushed them back. And we just, in all honesty, we wouldn't want to see them get fed up with, pushback, and then it can keep us moving. And I was just kind of looking for a blessing right now to see.
Jason, we can't, I think the problem with processing your application was you didn't submit it. The plans and everything, it's an amendment to your land development plan.
That's correct.
So you had the zoning board approval, but you still have to, the council still has to go through the process of amending the plan. And that plan hasn't been vetted by the planning commission or the county or.
I didn't think it had to go back in front of the planning commission.
Again, it wasn't submitted until last week. Nobody had a chance to look at it, and certainly no one had a chance to put together an approval resolution or even to get it to council for them to look at before the meeting.
Understood.
That's the reason for
Got
the
back
delay.
2 weeks ago, actually, thinking that that's when the work office was, the workshop was, and then I guess it wasn't this month. We didn't have that, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess that's kind of where
But we didn't have the plan for then anyway.
I'm sorry?
We didn't have the plan before the 31st anyway.
That's right, because
It came in last
typically
week,
wouldn't be
right?
on the 31st.
But I guess.
Came in on the 14th, I thought.
The 14th is the date I thought the letter was from Paul.
But let's clarify this here, okay? Let's just clarify this. We want to be business friendly to everybody. And I can relate to this because I'm a builder also, and these situations come up all the time in my business too. But, I mean, he's here tonight, and he's asking because, now, let me ask you something first, Mike. All he needs is council's approval tonight, correct? Or?
You need to approve a resolution that amends your prior approval. This is something, let me just be clear, this is a change that Mr. Catania requested. And, it's a little unfair to say we're somehow trying to hold up something that we approved the plan. The plan could go to closing as it was configured, as it was approved. He's chosen to make a reconfiguration and a change to add garages, which required zoning relief, it required an amendment to the land development plan. There's a process that we follow to do those things, and we have hurried it up in a lot of respects. But unfortunately, we're just not in a position tonight. You don't have a resolution. There's no I haven't seen Mr. Hughes's review letter. You haven't seen the review letter. You don't know what the issues are. Probably none of you have seen the plan.
But one of the issues is that I've been trying to get through to this borough to change the ordinance for the size of the garages. Because am I right? You're putting in a larger garage than,
Correct.
and that's why you're.
Actually, I think you're putting garages where there were no garages proposed before.
Exactly, right.
Which is that's completely different from what you're talking about.
I
You're talking
understand
about
that.
changing the size of garages. The original plan showed slabs for parking off-street. And subsequently, he's asked to change it to build garages with zero setbacks that are larger than the slabs, and there are
But it's
issues
nothing,
with
it's
the
nothing new. We've
reconfiguration.
done it before. He's done it before.
No
on
one's saying
11th
it
Avenue.
hasn't been done before, but again, if the plan is submitted a week before your meeting, there's literally no physical way any municipality would be able to approve that at your next meeting sight unseen, Bob. It's just
Okay.
that's not the way we do those.
I understand. I'm just giving Mr. Catania the courtesy that, he has people that are ready to move. And
Yeah, I mean, if the plan
everything's
is
in
submitted, if
motion,
we can get things
I just
turned
want
around.
to make sure that
you
we're
could
not
take-
holding
you
them
could-
up.
No, you're not. And if council's inclined, again, it's really the question how fast things can get submitted and then turned around. You have a meeting on October the 5th. That's an advertised meeting. If you wanted to make an exception and vote for the approval on the 5th, we could certainly do that. But we can hurry up, but there's only so much you can hurry up.
Would that help you, John? I mean,
Would it help?
Well, your closings are after that date, right, Jason?
They're on the 15th.
Right, so if,
So
and I
there's
think it
lots
was
to go into
communicated
it.
to you that we could do that for you on the 5th. At least that was supposed to be communicated to you, which would still be in advance of your 15th, right? Provided everything that the engineer submitted is correct, and,
It was already approved, so when it.
well, but he hasn't looked at it. Until Mr.
Approved by
Savona
who?
signs off on it,
I'm sorry?
Who approved it?
Zoning.
Well,
The zoning hearing board is approving your dimensional variance request.
Correct.
That's not land development. They don't approve the land development plan.
That's fine, I understand.
Right? So
Yeah.
the land development plan was submitted last week. Mr. Hughes has to review it.
September 7th, it was
Okay,
submitted.
so that has to be reviewed and approved by the borough's engineer. A resolution has to be placed before council. Council has to look at it. You come back, they may have questions. If everything's clean and clear and the plan it doesn't need revised, there's no mistakes. And I know the surveyor that you're using, as long as he's done everything he's supposed to do and all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed, then if council approves it on the 5th, the plan could be signed and recorded and you have plenty of time to close by the 15th. But I haven't seen a review letter on that. I don't know if there are issues with the plan that would cause it to be rejected by the recorder of deeds office.
I'm working with Paul at this, so
Okay.
he's the engineer, so I didn't know if maybe there's a question you had for him to say, hey. is
Well,
there
he
any-
puts his comments in a review letter that then
Understood.
everybody looks at.
I get it 150%.
But Mr. Catania, do you understand what this next steps you have to do to make this happen?
I do.
You need to talk to Paul about it, or?
No.
If there's any issues that,
Everything's
Paul, have you
pretty
done a
much-
review letter on this
we're
already?
good.
Yes, he is.
Paul.
Okay.
The review letter's done. The problem is, everything came in after all the deadlines in the process, and there wasn't enough time to put it in front of you, so you know what's in front of you. It is that simple.
I received the formal version of the plan last week and issued a very short comment letter on the 14th of this month.
And the permits are ready, I hear that the permits are already signed in somebody's hands.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
Do you know that, Paul?
I don't know that, but they probably are.
I was
because
told
the
today.
building plans were submitted along with the.
I was told today the permits
The
were
amended
approved.
plan, yeah, they wouldn't have
so
taken, they wouldn't have
I
taken.
don't know how
long to
this thing
review.
has to go backwards if the permit's approved already. When the permit's approved, it's usually go.
The permit's approved because the building he's proposing to construct, Bob, meets the requirements of the building code. That doesn't mean that the site plan that allows it to be built has been approved. They're two separate issues. Building issues are building issues, site plan and land development issues are site plan and land development issues. And the two of them are unrelated. They only happen to coincide because you build buildings on lands that have been approved for development, but they're two different issues. You can have approvable building permits that are waiting to be issued, but you can't issue them because the land development hasn't been approved.
Well, I didn't know the whole, I just gave Mr. Catania the courtesy to come here tonight because, hey, let's be upfront here. Development made this town. And if you don't have development in these towns and boroughs, you're not going anywhere in the world. So I just want to make sure that we are friendly to all the contractors and the people in town, that we service them because they make this tick. I just wanted to make sure to give him the courtesy to come up here tonight to speak.
Do we have a public schedule of timelines for expectations?
Yes.
That from the borough side as well as from the vendor side?
I believe anytime someone picks up a land development application, there's a very extensive packet that tells them exactly when the deadlines are, exactly what has to be submitted, exactly what documents have to be included. It's been painstakingly documented.
So that's on his side?
Correct.
No,
Does that also talk about what our turnaround is on our
Yes.
side?
The land, it was one of the first things that I did, was develop the land use guidance manual, which is very clear about, and it's all tied to planning commission meeting dates, council meeting dates, what's required are our turnarounds to get things back to them, because everything is timed with the municipality's planning code. So it is very clear what the expectations are of all people involved, us and them.
Sure.
Well, if I could put that into my own box then, because there's been nothing but delays on this project. So we've been open and forward and very understanding of the different things going on in the borough building, things of that nature. We've been held up a couple different times for months where we were ready to rock and roll, maybe January. We didn't start breaking ground till April. So, I mean, we've been very, very lenient. So, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what I came in here for, say, hey, we've dealt with what you had to go through. Maybe you can just come back and say, okay, Jay, you know what? This isn't always the proper way to do it, but you seem to have everything, crossed and all the I's are dotted, and, we can let you go and we'll just take care of this afterwards.
I don't have the authority to change a council policy in a process, especially when changing that policy would mean that this body doesn't see things in advance, that the solicitor doesn't have the opportunity to draft a proper resolution for them to read in advance. I mean, it's that simple.
So can you make all this happen before?
I think it's all in Mr. Mike's hands at this point.
No, I mean, I'm glancing through the comments in Paul's letter. I don't see
I
anything
appreciate
I don't see anything that's problematic. I mean, it's something that, if we were 2 weeks ahead of when you had submitted it, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion right now. You'd have gotten your approval.
And just, Jason, just not to point fingers, but, and I'm not pointing at you, understand? But you did have somebody putting this plan together, right?
I'm sorry?
You did have someone draw this plan for Mr. Hughes' review.
That's correct.
Okay, and when did he complete that?
If I'm not mistaken, it came over on September 7th.
Right.
So, which falls in that 2-week frame, and that would have probably been right where the normal work session takes place. Is that correct?
Yeah,
No.
but if you'd submitted on the 7th, even if there had been a work session that day, you would not have been approved that day.
Right.
It doesn't get approved the day it comes through the door.
deadline, that's even after the deadline.
Doesn't council get it after we go to zoning? Don't you automatically get
No.
those things except for some small changes?
You didn't submit the revised plan after the zoning variances were granted until the 7th. Council doesn't get that until you make the submission. Your submission date controls everything on our end. We can't start reviewing things. Paul can't start writing letters. I can't start writing resolutions. Councils can't start making a decision whether they want to approve it until you submit it. So your application, so to speak, didn't make it through the door for this plan to be approved until the 7th of September.
Correct.
And there's, as far as I'm aware, there's no place on earth that you're going to get a plan approved in 2 weeks. Nowhere, no matter how business-friendly you try to be, Bob. There's just no way to do it, turn around that quickly.
The point I'm trying to make is the deadline for the September 7 meeting, even if the September 7 meeting wasn't pushed up a week, the deadline for the September 7 meeting is the week before. So it still doesn't make the deadline for the September 7 meeting. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not, listen, Jason, you do try to work with us in every way. I'm not saying that at all, but there are certain things we just can't do.
And then to kind of pick up on what Rich was saying, Jason got stuck in this situation, but the plan that came in wasn't correct. There were some dimensions that were incorrect, so I sent it back to the designer to have it changed, and it took a very long time to get it back. I almost expected to get them back same day, and it didn't come back for over a week, so he was put in a tough spot, but I just didn't get the turnaround time that he should be able to expect from his consultant, so here we are.
All right,
All right.
okay. We gave him what, Joe? Okay?
So as long as everything's
Think it's
in
good,
line,
guys.
they'll get voting in.
It will happen in time, right?
You'll have a resolution, the review letters, and the plan
I
to
just-
look at in your
yeah,
packets so that you can act on it if you want on the 5th.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I appreciate your time.
All right. Anything else, Rich?
Yeah, one more thing. I'm sorry to take the whole thing, but this guy here, you know who this is? That's our Mr. McTammany, Jerry McTammany, and I think we should do some kind of honor him, some council meeting, and I like to propose to make this room McTammany Hall or something, put his name on this room here, because I'll tell you, he was a great guy. He did a lot for this town. I would contribute most of the development to him. And the reason I got involved in council is because he threw me out of a council meeting, because we had an argument about the fellowship house, that they were only funding $18,000 a year. The borough only gave us $18,000 a year for the fellowship house. So, I mean, he's a great guy, and I think we should honor him. And this is his picture when he was in the Marine Corps. I don't know if anybody.
I know.
I can remember that, yeah.
So I think that would be a very nice thing for us to do for that man. So if we can set up a date, maybe December, January, if everybody's agreeable.
Invite us down here.
I
Yes.
am.
Yes.
You want to discuss it further?
Yeah, we'll discuss it, yeah. Yeah.
I think it's quite appropriate to do something for him.
It would be really nice.
And Mike, one more thing.
Yeah.
I have been approached by some people about the Marywood, not the Marywood, the apartments, the Marshall Lee Towers. What is the role of the Marshall Lee Towers in the county? People are asking me, there's a lot of people living there from all around the country. and a lot of people from Conshohocken are trying to get in there, but the waiting list is so long that, isn't that supposed to be a county?
I believe it's owned by the County Housing Authority.
Right,
Yeah.
it is, but
But
It's supposed to be for
yeah, it's
seniors?
federally
It's not
funded
for
through HUD funding.
When did that change?
I'm not even gonna pretend that I know the rules as far as
Right.
what the
So maybe
entry
we can
requirements
find
are.
out what that-
Yeah, we could look into, call the
can
Housing
look into
Authority to see if we
Yeah,
can get
I
you some
did talk to
information.
Jerry Nugent
Oh, did you?
about that, and it's a county facility, so anyone that lives or is a resident
Of
of
Montgomery
Montgomery County
County.
has a right to live there.
But what about Montana?
Well, I guess they're here long enough to get their name on the list. I really don't
Well, you
know,
can
Bob,
call
how they're
and find
doing.
out.
Yeah,
But my
we can get that
concern, someone
information
brought
from
up
the
to me,
county.
is they're not elderly people anymore. There's
Yes.
young people living there, and there's different kinds of issues when you have younger people
That's
in a
right.
building with elderly.
Marshall Lee Tower.
So how,
filters the people through.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they have to be approved.
so how did they get that changed from
Well,
a
that's what I
senior?
thought the original
Right,
zoning
how
was
did they
the
get that
black
changed
That's what
without
I
was for
any,
elderly.
any approval from the borough? Don't they need our approval for that?
No, because it's a county,
Borough
that's
has
the
nothing
way.
to do with
County facility, it's
Yeah,
federally
Jerry.
funded.
It's like
They
the
know.
Hoffman project down there, we don't have nothing to do
But
with it.
Ike, you
Right.
know, and Bob, you know, 20 years ago, it was everybody from Conshohocken and around
Mm-hmm.
the areas
And
that
it was
lived
all
there.
elderly
It
people.
was all the people
We
from
don't
around
have
the
any
surrounding
other
area.
elder housing.
Yes.
And Bob, you made the point too, that it used to be assisted living. You had to be able to take care
You
of
did.
yourself with minimum, and now they have people that are totally incapacitated, and that causes problems for the fire department sometimes, with the elevators and things
So
like
how did
that.
they get all that changed? I wonder.
I think it starts, we'll make a call to the Housing Authority.
Yeah.
Try to figure out what's
That's-
going
That's
on.
three of us that people have
People always
been
asking me all the
talking
time, how can they get
People have been
this?
asking,
Yeah,
oh,
how can I get in there? And
Okay.
you
Is
gotta
that
go down
it?
and put your name on the list, that's all I can tell you.
I just have one thing positive. I want to say, I thought the Fun Fest was fabulous. It was such a wonderful day, and I want to thank Rich and Brittany and Stephanie
job.
and Kate and every volunteer that was there, especially Janine.
Yeah, I was just
It-
gonna say.
It was just a fabulous day, and I hope we do it again next year, even better. And thanks to Ike for bringing it up and putting it on Fayette Street.
Right.
Two quick things, if I may. To that point, I'd like to suggest to council that we honor Janine in particular with a proclamation.
Okay.
The amount of time that she put into this event that people have no idea was incredible. And if council has any objections, we could do it on the 5th,
Okay.
if she can be here. And the only other thing, it's really not new business, and I know we're not doing announcements, and this is out of order, but I thought it appropriate, since we're going to be televising this meeting, to also let everyone know that beginning with this meeting, these meetings will be uploaded to the website. So people will be able to go onto the website and watch these meetings as well as see them on the channel. So if it's on a website, of course, they can stream it at any time. So we're going to start doing that this week.
Karen, you want to tell them about
Website,
Cosmos
what
and David?
channels it is for Comcast and what channel it is for Verizon?
We do.
It's on the website,
It is.
20 and 80 or something.
Off the top of my head, I don't know what they are, but I should.
I got any
just
public
don't.
comment?
Hello,
There you
everybody.
go. Teresa,
I have one.
stand up and
Come
give
up
me
to
your name.
that podium, please.
I just have a question about why are the porta potties still on the streets?
That's a good question.
I saw that
Why are they
tonight.
still up there?
Why are the
They've been up
porta
there in a week.
potties?
They've been all up all week.
I called today about that. I called Kate, and she's having them removed tomorrow morning. They gave her, Kate's been calling, they just didn't pick them up. So we had some complaints, and we're taking care of it.
Oh, okay.
They should be going by tomorrow,
Yeah,
Good,
okay?
thank you.
Yeah. They should be picked up the next day.
yeah, that's what I
And
thought.
Kate did call. I talked to Kate today, and she said she called many times, and they didn't respond, so must be a lot of things going on
They're
somewhere.
gonna move them down to the train station?
Yeah, they better clean them out first.
Sorry, I had to go
Yeah,
there.
that's good, that's
Good
good.
humor.
Marty? Go ahead, Marty.
It's quick.
I won't be long.
I hope not.
Marty Ecker, 314 West 4th Avenue. Before I start, we don't agree on a lot of things, Bob. What you just said, absolutely 100%. Jerry McTavish, maybe the most influential politician to walk through, at least in my lifetime.
The most unique.
Has done a lot. So
And
yes,
unique, yes.
it would be nice to have something in his name. He was one. He got things done whether you liked him or not. He got them
Thank you.
done. I am here as with the St. Matt's Kennedy football alumni. We are coming very close to our function at the Field. Before I even start, between Dan and I and the committee, we want to say thank you for all you've done, all the help, all the support you've given us. Everything is set. chairs are going up next Saturday. The borough's going to take them up and set them up for us, take care of them, bring them down. John Saber's going up, who's also an alumni. He and I are going so he can measure up on where they're going to go on the wall. The guys at the Fell, Charles Mascio has been a huge help. He's also an alumni. We'll make sure we get the keys, everything will be set up. The reason why I'm here is we would like to formally invite you to our event. It is 11 o'clock. It is October 1st. It is at the 8th Field. We'll be honoring two of the greatest coaches to come out of this area from St. Matt's and Kennedy. Charlie Heavey was from the 50s. You're probably the only one sitting there who would remember him, Mikey. And, and Chris Bockrath, who happened to be my football coach from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Two remarkable men made great strides in young men's lives, more than just football. So we're doing that. We're going to immortalize them. The ceremony is going to be about an hour or so. We do have a few speakers from our alumni that are going to present, and then when we unveil the plaques, we're hoping for about 100 or so of alumni and former students and whatnot from both Conchi High, which is where Coach Bockrath went to high school, and St. Matt's and Kennedy. So I've been checking the weather. They're expecting mid-70s, a slight chance of rain, but we're hoping that holds out. Afterwards, we're having a reception at the Great American Pub at about 1 o'clock. Which you are all, we want you to be our guest. Please come down. You're invited. Bob is a Kennedy grad. Colleen is a Kennedy grad. You know, you get to see old friends and whatnot. You get to meet new people. It'll be a nice time. We're really, we're expecting a really good thing out of it. So I wanted to come personally and invite you instead of just sending you a memo. We appreciate all you've done. I know jumping through hoops and whistles and bells and everything, you know, to get things done now is not easy, but you guys were great. We got everything done. Everything has been smooth. The plaques are in. They're gorgeous. They look very, very nice on the 8th Field wall, and for these guys to be immortalized. So, again, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Marty.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment?
Hi, Rosemary Northcutt, 112 East 6th Avenue. It's really great to hear some of the discussion about dealing with traffic. And White Marsh has begun putting up their like yard signs. They're all up on Barron Hill Road, a variety of places saying slow down, White Marsh Township, getting people to slow down. And I wanted to ask, have we actually begun any discussions with White Marsh and Plymouth about making the speed limit 25 miles an hour coming starting as soon as you get across the line, so that you're coming into Conshohocken, what people think is Conshohocken, that little area of White Marsh and Plymouth, keeping it 25 miles an hour the entire way. And they're trying to slow down traffic all over White Marsh. So why not start right here where we really need it too?
We're on Fayette Street?
To make Fayette Street,
North Lane.
all of Fayette, from North Lane down, keeping it 25 miles an hour.
PennDOT sets the
PennDOT.
speed limit.
But
PennDOT.
if
We could put
Conshohocken, White Marsh, and Plymouth went together to PennDOT to request that traffic be, the speed limit be changed because it's further up. On Butler, it's 25 miles an hour.
Good idea. I mean, if we can do that,
If PennDOT to go along with it,
yeah, that'd be to slow it 25 miles an hour.
you can make it call.
It would be fine.
I think it's
Yeah, make it
worthwhile.
check.
I mean, we, in our 2017 goals, we did ask to look at options, but we could be doing something in the interim, generating conversation.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that sounds
And
good.
one idea for Fun Fest 2017, we really need another banner across Fayette Street, just announcing to everybody.
We can't put banners across Fayette Street.
No more?
No more.
Not for the car show
PennDOT,
anymore?
PennDOT, no more.
Ah,
We even put up poles,
interesting.
we even put up poles, separate poles for them.
Okay.
Oh, didn't know.
And the Verizon workers
Safety.
can't volunteer to do it anymore.
It's a safety thing for
While we're
PennDOT.
developing,
They're worried about
develop
when the
the
banners,
corner of First and
when they put the banners up, the gear, somebody might come down, the wind blows and it blows it down and hit the car.
Okay.
But some people don't put them on.
Once in 1,000 years, right? But
but that's the way PennDOT is.
One more thing that I can
Go
say,
ahead.
Karen can chime in about St. Cosmo's on Sunday, about the moving of the statues.
Yeah, I was there. It
And
was
Ike
great.
was there and Karen was there. And I'd like to thank John because
Yeah.
John was one of the directors there and we had a lot of fun, didn't we, John?
Yes, we did.
But I got to give Father Hearn a lot of credit since the schools closed, the Italians, the Polish, the Irish, and he's really trying to bring everybody together and the churches together, and I think it's a great thing for the community. And the new St. Matt's childcare is open.
Yeah, it's
And my
great.
grandson goes there, and I see him every day being pushed around town in a coach with 20 other babies. I think it's a great thing we have all these young kids coming into the borough, and hopefully they'll
Thank
stay
God.
here,
Yeah.
you know?
That was what was very remarkable at the Fun Fest. That
Yes.
center area with all those
Kids.
kids.
It was
really
That was that.
Yeah.
The kids loved that.
Yeah,
They had a ball.
Yeah, yes, they did.
it was wonderful.
They did a good job.
Yeah, very good.
Mary, you got anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to announce that the annual Halloween parade is once again scheduled for October 29th this year. If you're watching on television, get your goblins out, get your pumpkins out and dust them off. Registration will be at number 2 Fire Company starting at 3 o'clock. We'll parade down Fayette Street at 4, arrive at Washies for refreshments, awards, and some mayor's Halloween trivia.
Sounds good.
Colleen?
Do I have anything? No, I'm good.
No, I said enough.
Mary?
Thanks.
I said enough.
That's good?
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
That's twice. That's all right, the Murray didn't go on with the Kennedy too.